Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for checking out this video here on Show Style and Spirit. I am Ebony, of course, and as you can see from the title of this video, I will be giving my commentary. I've been thinking about Wanda's Venom lately that's been shooting in the direction towards Melody Shari, and I just feel like the irony of it all is based upon Melody and Tisha's interactions with each other. And then also, I want to talk about Melody's awesome interview with Ashley Stevens from Black Enterprise. And my sister Kim, she would put me on to Black Enterprise when I was like a teenager. She loved it, and I love the articles. I'm going to talk about some things that I love about that magazine in just a few moments. Now, before we get into these stories, I ask that you please hit the like button on this video. You hear us content creators ask you all to do that, or even if you're feeling a little negative and you hit the dislike button. Either one of those work the same, meaning that YouTube will recommend this video to more people who enjoy discussing the various topics surrounding love and marriage Huntsville. And if you have not already done so, please subscribe to Show Style and Spirit. I would definitely love to have you as one of the showstoppers. And everything that I'm saying in this video is alleged and just my opinion. And the Copyright Act of 1976 says that my fair use commentary on the sound bites from Melody's interview is allowed. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So I was thinking about, while I was watching Wanda's most latest live stream and her recent live streams, really all this year, 2024, while they have been filming season 7, she really transferred her negative energy onto Melody Shari. And I can't help but wonder if it is because Melody and Tisha, they have been very cordial in 2024. During the filming of season 7, they have been having conversation, sitting at the same table, looking each other in the eye and talking and not arguing. And it just kind of makes me wonder if Wanda is trying her best to change that, to ruin that. And she could be trying to because it is disrespectful, things that's being said. Now she's body shaming Miss Van, and I think that she's trying to get Melody to take out any righteous anger towards Wanda. She's trying to get her to take it out on Tisha. I am confident that Melody would see through any tricks of the enemy, any sort of plan of distraction. And I do believe that she can look at it and say, oh, she's trying to get me to be mad at her daughter because she wants to see us at odds. And I believe that Melody has the wherewithal to compartmentalize and separate her mother's actions and words from Tisha's words and actions. But I have a feeling that that is what Wanda is trying to do. I have a feeling, obviously, being the mother of someone who's on the cast, she knows how filming has been going. I'm sure she's been asking how filming has been going. And Tisha is saying, Melody and I are getting along. We're actually conversing and not arguing. And even when I did not like my room, she and I did not argue. I let her know how I felt. She gave her explanation, and I know Tisha in her confessional felt like she was put into that room with Kimmy and Destiny because she let Melody know that Destiny was coming on the trip. But in any event, that did not cause a huge rift between Tisha and Melody. They are still cordial. And the Scotts attended Melody's most recent Mimosas with Melody event. So it just really seems like Wanda may prefer when the two women are at odds, and she's hoping that she can come in between that. That was definitely a thought that I've been having for a while, and then it just really seemed to really come full circle for me. And, I also thought, because some people may say, well, what if she doesn't care if Melody and Tisha are cordial? Maybe what if she's just transferring that negative energy to Melody because unfortunately she lost her niece? Because prior to 2024, late 2023 and early 2024, a lot of the venom and the live streams was aimed towards Kiki and her mom, and now of course that has changed. And so I feel like also it could be both, and I think that um some people don't believe in coincidences. They feel like, definitely, it was going to be, she was going to switch her negative energy back to Melody anyway. But I do feel like once she realized that Tisha and Melody were cordial, and especially because Tisha and Marceau, they don't really see it for Stormy and Courtney, I really feel like she's trying to change that. So I know that Melody can see through it. We have to see if, like, hopefully Tisha does not attach to that negative energy as well. Now, and I can't stand it when like people just naturally kind of like follow something. It could even be like a comment on social media. And like if you follow blogs, like the really big blogs, like the TMZs, the Shade Rooms, the Neighborhood Talks, some people will just like type out someone else's comment. On one hand, it's kind of funny, kind of hilarious. And then on the other hand, it's kind of annoying. Like, be an independent thinker, and I feel like Wanda, in my opinion, she's seen the body shaming towards Miss Van. So now she's doing it as well. And I just posed the question, what has Miss Van done to Wanda for her not to like her? Is it simply because she is the mother of Melody Shari, or what is it that will cause her to dislike her? Also, in her latest live, Wanda compared the accusation of Melody copying off of Stormy by selling her products on TikTok to Tisha copying Stormy's shipping policy. The difference is that TikTok is a marketplace. Lots of people are selling products on TikTok just like they are on Instagram, or even if it is an influencer who has a paid partnership and they're selling products. It's social media, and that is what takes place on social media, is definitely selling. It's social media is not just about connecting with your loved ones or following influencers, but it's also sales. And that is something that Wanda does not understand. As far as the copying of the shipping policy, what brought it to light was when they did not think to edit out Stormy's email address and replace it with their own. And that's how the Scotts were unfortunately embarrassed. I would have been so embarrassed because, they copied the shipping policy, but someone must not have read it line by line to think to remove Stormy's email address. So that is not a marketplace or widespread use of, selling on social media. That is a copying error. Whoever was the copy editor, or if there was no copy editor at all, that was the big boo-boo, Miss Wanda. Big difference. But I just really have a feeling that this whole thing is about trying to come between Tisha and Melody. So now let's go on. Let's move on to Melody's awesome interview with Black Enterprise. So, like I was saying, my sister Kim put me onto Black Enterprise because she is heavy into finance. That is her thing. That's where she's very passionate. And she is all about saving. And, Melody is going to talk about some things that really make me think about how in the Black community, we say that sometimes we do not learn money until it's like, and I'm not going to say too late, but then you may learn about it the hard way. You have to like make financial mistakes in order to learn. And there's just not a lot of sharing of information about money in our community. And, Melody is going to talk about that. And it's going to be very inspirational, just really good conversation. And I love the interviewer. I thought she asked great questions. I loved her positive energy. I felt like she researched Melody Shari prior to the interview. And it was just great. I absolutely loved it. What I appreciate about Black Enterprise is that they would profile not just famous Black people, but everyday working W-2 employee Black families. And as a young adult, this is how I would learn about your net worth. And because in Black Enterprise, when they would profile an everyday working Black person, they would list their assets, like if they owned a home, how much it was worth versus their mortgage, because we all know that the value minus any loans that you have against your home, the difference is the equity, that you have in your home. And they would break down if that person had any student loans, if they had a car note, if they had any credit cards or any personal loans. And then they would take a look at their, in addition to the assets, if they own properties, if they had a 401k savings through their job, a savings at a bank account, any investments, and how much they make on their job to calculate their net worth. And sometimes some people would have a net worth in the negative if, like, perhaps they did not own a home and they had student loan debt. But if someone owned like a property and a rental property and had money saved up, there's definitely, would be Black families in the Black. So those things were so educational for me when reading Black Enterprise. And so my sister Kim put me onto that. But in this interview, it's on Black Enterprise's YouTube channel if you want to watch it in its totality. The interviewer asked Melody a lot of awesome questions. And one of the things that Melody was talking about pretty much was the benefits of alone time. She talked about getting married at the young age of 22, being married for 14, I believe 14 or 12 years once she decided to leave Martell. I believe 12 years married when she left him. And then she just said she wanted to get back to Melody. What does Melody like? What are Melody's interests, So she spent a lot of alone time to discover that. And so let's go ahead and dive into what Melody had to say.
You've protected your mental health and your peace. Obviously, your private life is now a very pivotal part of the storyline of the show. And tell us about, again, your self-care, what you do for your emotional preservation. And also, I've heard you recently talk about the importance of, providing therapy for your children, the importance of that and what it means to them.
Absolutely. So I'm a huge advocate for therapy. And so once I walked away from my situation, I started therapy. I put my children in therapy as well because I wasn't going to be naive to think that, they would not be affected too. If I'm an adult and I'm affected, imagine the babies, right? So I put them in therapy too. It has been just very paramount, honestly, in me being where I am. I've also in that learned how to set boundaries. So setting those boundaries, knowing when to cut off certain things a little quicker. If I feel like it does not align with my purpose, whether that's relationships, friendships, or whatever, situationships, workships, if it does not align with my purpose, I'm a little more quick to remove those things. You don't stay connected to situations that is causing mental anguish or causing you to not be at peace. And I think that for probably about 2 years, I spent more time alone than I'd ever spent my whole life. And spending that time alone with myself, doing self-care, massage therapy. I usually get a massage about every week. That's the one time when my mind, body, and soul are all on one accord because you're not getting up, you're not going anywhere, you just gonna sit still, right? So incorporating those things and spending time alone and really learning who is Melody? Who is Melody, right? Because I got married at 22. So it was important for me to sit back and say, okay, who is Melody? What does she desire in life? Where does does she want to go, and what's the roadmap to get there? So I took about 2 years to just really focus. I wasn't, oh, let me hurry up and go get with somebody and get married again or anything like that. I just really wanted to focus on my healing journey. Therapy, self-care, and some time alone definitely contributed highly to that.
God.
Yeah, so I think that that is so crucial, especially for women who may have gotten married at that early age, and then you have children, and if you're a dedicated mom, your life is all about your kids, raising them to be well-rounded, mannerable, articulate, academic, into their studies, getting good grades, being healthy and being sociable and confident, having friends. You want to instill all of those qualities into your children, and then you may lose your sense of self. What are your interests? What are your likes? Because those kids are going to grow up, even once they go to college. Those 18 years, I would imagine, would fly by, and then who are you? Because now they're starting to learn independence, and they're not going to need you as much or in the same capacity. You're going to have a lot of free time for you to discover yourself. And I would say, I hope that women do not get depressed about that or fearful about that. And, don't even embrace this whole empty nest syndrome. Don't look at it negatively, but, discover you. Find out, are you into yoga? Would you want to take pictures of nature? See the things in your neighborhood. There's all sorts of things that you could do to develop yourself, and not to sound cliche, but broaden your horizons. So I thought that that was so key and so important for her to share. So, of course, Melody explained property preservation, managing foreclosed homes. And so I love talking like business and numbers and money, and, my inner nerd just like flourishes and blossoms in conversations like this. So I'm going to go ahead and play this soundbite and then come back with my commentary.
You talked about, Melody, about the importance of setting boundaries. I want to talk about that. In the business world in particular, you're teaching classes in real estate, property preservation, and business. Let's talk a little bit about, tell us about some of the courses that you're developing for this new generation of entrepreneurs. Tell us about that.
For sure. So my first business I've been working for myself since 25, and my first business was in property preservation, which is really where you are managing foreclosed properties for banks. And that's where I did my first million, and then eventually turned it into a multi-million company in 3 years. So by 28, 29. So now I stayed in that industry for about 10 years, and now I have the pleasure of teaching others how to get into the game of property preservation, which is a multi-billion-dollar industry. It's a national industry, so I teach by way of Zoom. And I started this course in 2020, and to date, I've created over about 900 entrepreneurs all across the country. And so I enjoy teaching them, and just really, because a lot of times we've heard, oh, nobody wants to tell me, nobody wants to share information, nobody wants to share knowledge, right? Well, that's not true. There are some people who want to see other people win. So it has been great. Some of my students have been able to resign from their 9 to 5s. Some of them have been able to make over 200K plus their first year in the industry. And so I'm enjoying really showing and teaching people the ropes of the business of property preservation. That's always going to be around, because there are always going to be foreclosures, because people lose jobs, people die, people get divorces. Sometimes people just walk away from their homes and want to start a new life. So it's a business that will always be here.
Got it.
Okay. That is awesome. So, and I'm sure for those of you who may have taken Melody's property preservation class, or if you've watched her other interviews where she speaks heavily on business and she explains what property preservation is, I know that this is not brand new to you. You've heard this before, but I just can't get enough of learning more and more about it. And she is right. So when I was in the mortgage industry and I was working those 12-hour days, week after week, month after month, year after year, it was life changing in a great way because I made a lot of money. And then that's when I became a landlord. And then I bought this house and so on and so forth, right? But I worked in the mortgage industry right after President Obama restructured it and really put safeguards in to like lessen mortgage fraud, to help mitigate the severity of it all. So when I was writing loans, it was families who unfortunately they did experience financial crisis and they had to walk away from homes. So you have those seasoning periods. That's more like a mortgage guideline talk. Some people they had to go with FHA loans, which is fine. That's a government backed loan, because not enough time had gone past, not enough seasoning, which would be 7 years after they walked away from the home to qualify for conventional mortgages. So I brought that up to say Melody is right. There's going to always be someone out there who unfortunately may foreclose on a home. Sometimes relationships end, and so they cannot afford, either one of them as a single person cannot afford the house. Some people just get too much house. They may buy in that ritzy neighborhood to say that they're there, and then there's a shift perhaps in employment or the relationship, and they have to walk away. And you're managing those foreclosed homes, you're doing those repairs because people get angry that they're losing the home. And then, you go in and fix it up and spruce it up so that those banks, those financial institutions that now own those foreclosed homes, they can sell them again because they definitely want to get them off of their books, because that is a mortgage, that's money that they loaned and now the people have defaulted on it. But so she's right. The mortgage industry will always be there in all facets, whether it's the purchase, the refinance, or unfortunately the foreclosure. And so I think that it's wonderful to see a Black woman educate other Blacks on another umbrella or another realm of the mortgage industry or the whole real estate industry that Black people can tap into and make more money. And she talks about in this interview how some of her students, they have resigned from their jobs. They have resigned from corporate America and the unnecessary stress and judgment and how they want to turn you into a robot, their robot, to work day and night like a dog. They have been able to resign from some of those spaces because they work in property preservation. I have been giving it a lot of thought. I'm thinking about taking her class, like I just wonder, like, so is it going to be me doing the repairs? I feel like I have a feeling like it would be me contracting the work out, I think. But, I have to give it definitely some thought and some research because, I would love to quit my corporate America job. That would be awesome and be 100% in business for myself. And so when I watch these business interviews with Melody, that is the inspiration that I get. So now the interviewer is going to ask Melody about teaching her kids about money. And this is such an important conversation because over the years, some people have said, Black people, we don't really learn anything about money. We have to learn the hard way, So let's hear what Melody has to say.
How do you teach your children about financial education?
Absolutely. So the first thing I teach them about financial education is learning how to get to the money too. So so they spend a lot of time with me. And I say that because everybody who follows me have seen my children packing orders. They've seen my children knowing what products are for my beauty brand, understanding and first grasping, oh, there are avenues to make money. Never feel like you can't make money. Making money allows you to make purchases that can build wealth, right? So I talk to them all the time. I spend a lot of time talking to my children about not overspending, but you don't really need that, so we don't have to get that, right? What's something else we can, like just yesterday, I said it on live. My daughter was like, we were in the kitchen talking, and my oldest daughter, she's 12, and she was like, she said, I'm in the standing on business. I'm in the bloodline of standing on business. I said, okay, right. And she was like, that was good. What? I said, girl, that was pretty good. And she was like, oh, I'm gonna have me a shirt. I said, you know what? Mommy's gonna get you a mock-up for the shirt. You can tell me which one you like, and we gonna sell your shirt, right? So they're all ready, because here's the thing. So I had Mariah when I was 25. I had already resigned from teaching. So my children have been around nothing but seeing their parents as entrepreneurs. That's all they know. Those are the conversations they hear. They've been to business meetings. They've been to bank closings. They've been to properties, right? That's all they've seen. That's all they know. So it's naturally just in them, right? And so then once you've naturally and shown them by way of seeing how you move, how you handle business, how to get to the bag, then comes the conversations of, okay, now how do you retain the wealth?
That's important. That's absolutely important. So your children already have a concept of what generational wealth will look like for your family.
Yeah, they do. And it's so funny because sometimes my oldest two, Mariah and Tank, who are 12 and 11, they'll talk about how Tank's going to be a home builder, Mariah's going to be an interior designer, and they're going to have this thing together. They even talked about having a big home with different wings and all this. And I said, now look, now y'all, we going to see, because y'all halfway get along. So, but okay, if y'all like it, I love it. But literally, that's what they think about. That's where their mindset is.
I love that even as young people, they have a vision, they have an entrepreneurial mindset because they see you doing it, right? They have seen your parents are entrepreneurs. They've seen you all, the highs and lows of businesses and really nothing but growth at this point. You've got so many businesses happening. Melody, I want to touch on those.
I think that is great. So, it just makes me think of influence. I saw my dad, he worked at one of the car company auto plants, and he also worked at a cleaners. So he worked 2 jobs for dozens of years. And I'm thankful for that because we did not experience being impoverished. Like, I did not come home and like the lights weren't working or the water was shut off or there was no heat, nothing like that. So I'm thankful to not have had that childhood trauma, but so it taught me that you are to work hard on your job, and that's kind of like in me, probably to a fault, but that is the influence that I saw. And I believe that makes sense with Melody's kids. They've seen their parents be entrepreneurs, go to meetings, go to loan closings, and seen their mom come up with different t-shirts and sweatshirts and sayings and selling them. And even if they don't see her social media, they see her setting up, the camera, the lighting, and making the reels, the video reels that she's posting on Instagram. They're seeing all of the production. And so what it's making them do is giving them conversation about being entrepreneurs. So I think that that's amazing that their minds are that broad, that they would come up with such dreams. I think that it's wonderful. And, I think that it is important, whatever information we can share with each other about money, do it. Because sometimes when there's like that, there's the saying, people perish for lack of knowledge. But then it's also, some people can be so close-minded when they don't know something. And then sometimes in our community, people are ageist. And, if they find you too young, they're definitely not going to listen to you, but there's nothing wrong, invest how you want to, but like the 401k on your job, your employer matches. And, the way I look at the stock market, yeah, you could just be negative and say that it can be volatile, but you gotta you got to play, you have to kind of play, get a little risky in order to have the bigger returns, because the super safe investments like CDs, certificate of deposit, CDs, those have much lower interest rates, because there is no risk. Your money is just sitting there. You can't touch it for whatever time period you agree to. They have much lower interest rates. But with the stock market, even in highs and lows, the return is bigger. So even if there's lows, it kind of averages out. I was taught on average about 8% with highs and lows on average. And so it just makes more sense to do some investments in the stock market. Definitely have some diversity. Of course, you want to keep some money liquid in the savings at the bank in case you need to tap into it, but definitely with that 401k, I say if you can, act like you don't even have it. I always cringe when I hear about people withdrawing from it to like pay for a wedding, because that's when I'm negative and I'm like, dude, you got like a 50% chance, of the marriage working out, and you withdrew that money. So, those are just some of my tips that I think about. And then, with home ownership, there's lots of benefits, because if you don't sweat it. Don't beat yourself up if you are not in a position to buy a home, because initially that initial investment is your down payment and closing cost. Or even if you get the seller to give you seller's concessions to go towards the closing costs, you would still bring your down payment to the table, because the lender, with mortgage guidelines, they need to be able to document your ability to bring the down payment to closing, because then, that adds to the qualification. You being able to handle a mortgage payment, if you're able to save up money to put a down payment on a house, that helps with qualification. So there are benefits to it if you can get past that initial investment at the closing table. Just whether you enjoy the home for a while and then you sell it and make a profit, or if you decide to rent it out for a while and then sell it. There are different benefits to home ownership, certainly. And this is just information that, again, in our community, we may not always share with each other. So it does help to talk about it. So that's what I really loved about her having conversations with her kids about money. So then the journalist, she asked Melody, what information do you have? What advice do you have for entrepreneurs? And this is what Melody Shari had to say.
Melody, tell us, what is some of the biggest advice that you give brand new or aspiring entrepreneurs?
Oh, wow. So, let me try to cut it down a little bit, cut my list down a little bit. For one, and whenever entrepreneurship can sometimes be a road that is, I'm not going to say a lonely road, but everybody's not going to get how you think. Everybody's not going to get why you took your last $5,000 and invested it in a dream or a vision that you have for something. Everybody's not going to get that. Be okay with that. Be okay with that. Don't get offended. Don't feel like, oh, they don't believe in me. Oh, they don't support me. Your vision is your vision. You work your vision, okay? And you literally don't have to share everything with everybody. Be particular about what you share and with whom you share it, Find the people who you consider, your team, your prayer warriors, your people who are going to push you on those days when you don't feel like pushing through. They're going to say, hey, girl, come on, we got to push through. Find that team and let that team be the solid people who are around you. I say look for the weak links, and when you're on the journey of entrepreneurship, you got to get rid of the weak links. You just have to. Make sure that, any endeavor that you're taking on, that it aligns with you and who you are at your core, who you are at your heart. There are deals I've turned down, 40, 50, 60,000 deals. I said no. And I turned them down because they didn't line up with me.
Melody, that was some fantastic advice you gave to entrepreneurs. Get rid of the weak links. Focus on what you have to do. Don't worry about what anyone else is saying about how you're moving and how you operate. That you got to focus on what you got to do. Super helpful tips. Anything else as we think about how to inspire or encourage entrepreneurs?
Yeah, like I said, be okay with saying no. Like every deal that comes across your table is not for you. And if it does not align with you, your purpose, your brand, be okay with saying no. Like I said earlier, I've turned down $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 gigs because I didn't feel like it fit for me. So be okay with doing that. And once you know exactly who you are, and what you want your legacy to look like, that's a lot easier to do.
Okay, I just love this interview so much. And she's right. We've heard people say all the time, move in silence. Do not tell people your plans, your goals, or what you're working on, because really, people will just dump their negativity on you, their pessimism, because they do not have that entrepreneurial spirit, or they do not have hope to work on something that they've dreamt of. So they just ignore their dreams, they bury their dreams, and they want you to do the same. They're just being a negative Nancy, a Debbie Downer. So that's one major reason to move in silence and not tell people what you're working on. And then some people, they could be really devious and try to create distraction for you so that you do not meet your goals. Perhaps they see where you're going to grow, and they don't like that. So, Melody said, if someone does not agree with your vision, be okay with that. Move in silence. Definitely embrace solitude. I thought that was some great advice, and the gifts that you have, the thoughts and the visions that you have, definitely carry them out. I am a writer at heart. And when I take days off of work, I swear, like, my mind is more clear, and obviously I have more time because I'm not dedicated to the man's company, right? And that's when, like, I'm writing, because like I've written one book and I've sent off the copyright. My goal is to put it on Smashwords for people to like just download and read. But like I've started another one and I have an idea for 2 more books. I want to finish those books. So I really want to focus, and I just have to get it done, so, but that is something that's like my dreams. And some other things that Melody talked about during the interview, she was saying how she does not really believe in balance. We've heard her say this before, but she promotes prioritizing things. And she said that music is not a top priority, but an outlet for her. And we've heard her say that, so that makes sense. She talked about how she got a full academic scholarship to college, Alabama A&M, and she still supports her school through charity. And the reporter, Ashley Stevens, complimented Melody on taking her customers along the journey with her when she goes live on Instagram while packing orders. And all of us can see the growth in her business. So I felt like it was an excellent interview. I love the professionalism of the reporter, and I just love Melody just being herself, being relaxed, answering the questions with so much inspiration and knowledge for all of us. And I love that beautiful bare face, honey. Okay, that is promoting 7th Avenue as well. And she said during the interview, I just love my skincare line so much. And you know what, Melody? We can tell. But I thank you all so much for checking out this video. Please hit the like button on this video, as it is a free way of supporting the channel. And please subscribe to Shows Style and Spirit if you have not already done so. I hope that you all have had a great Friday. Obviously, because I hung out after work last night, so I stayed low-key this Friday night. I went for a walk outside after I made my video earlier. Then I went to the gym, and then I came home and made this video. All right, so I will talk with you all soon, and take good care. Bye.